Dr. Z pressed her forehead against the viewport of the quarantine station, her breath fogging the reinforced glass as she stared at the gleaming blue-green sphere of Earth hanging in the blackness of space. 6 months since she'd seen it up close. 6 months since anyone had set foot on the planet's surface. 6 months since the Nexus Strain had reached humanity. Dr. Reyes, a voice called from behind her. The Galactic Council representatives have arrived. Z turned to face her assistant, Dr. Emil Patel, his dark eyes underscored by purple shadows of exhaustion. Like everyone else on Quarantine Station Sentinel-7, he hadn't slept properly in weeks. "How many delegates?" she asked, smoothing her rumpled lab coat. "7. One from each of the major affected species." Z nodded. "Conference room A then. Let's not keep them waiting." As they walked through the station's sterile corridors, Z's mind raced through the data they'd compiled. The Nexus Strain had first appeared 18 months ago on a remote mining colony, and the Cygnus Arm initial reports had been dismissed as exaggerations. Tales of entire alien populations transformed, their bodies and minds altered beyond recognition. Then the quarantines had failed by the time the Galactic Council acknowledged the threat. The virus had already spread to 17 systems, carried by unsuspecting travelers, commercial vessels, and diplomatic shuttles. Each species it infected underwent radical mutations, their biology rewritten by the virus's enigmatic code. And 6 months ago, humanity had joined their ranks. The conference room fell silent as Z entered. 7 alien representatives sat around the oval table, their appearances as diverse as the worlds they hailed from. The faint shimmer of containment fields surrounded each delegate. A precaution, though Z suspected it was already too late for such measures. "Esteemed representatives," she began, "thank you for agreeing to this meeting. As you know, the Nexus Strain continues to spread despite our collective efforts to contain it. What you may not know is that we have made a breakthrough in understanding its mechanism of action. The Vexery delegate, a crystalline entity whose natural form resembled a humanoid construct of sapphire shards, leaned forward. Since infection, the once transparent crystals had developed swirling patterns of cobalt and violet, pulsing with inner light. Your species has been infected for merely half a solar cycle." The Vexery's translator rendered in crisp, electronic tones. "We have endured the changes for 3 times as long. What could you possibly understand that our scientists have not discovered?" Z activated the holographic display at the center of the table. A complex molecular structure appeared, rotating slowly. "This is the Nexus Strain's viral architecture," she explained. "Unlike any virus previously documented, it doesn't just hijack cellular machinery. It integrates with the host genome at a fundamental level, inserting sequences that appear to be..." She hesitated. "Appear to be what, Dr. Reyes?" prompted the Thalasian representative, her feathered crest rising with interest. "Design," Z finished. "The viral sequences aren't random mutations. They are precisely engineered to trigger specific evolutionary pathways within each host species." A ripple of uncomfortable movement circled the table. The representatives exchanged glances, some skeptical, others alarmed. "Are you suggesting this is a bioweapon?" asked the Meridian delegate, his gelatinous form pulsing with agitation. "No," Z replied. "A weapon implies destruction. This virus isn't destroying its hosts. It's transforming them. And each species is being transformed differently, responding to the viral blueprint in unique ways based on their existing genetic predispositions." She gestured, and the hologram shifted to display comparative physiological scans of the affected species. The Vexery develop enhanced photosynthetic capabilities and synaptic crystal formations. The Thalasians manifest accelerated cellular regeneration and increased neural density. The Meridians exhibit novel protein structures, enabling direct electromagnetic manipulation. The Galactic Council's chief medical officer, a Cantari with mottled gray skin that had recently developed intricate, circuit-like patterns, spoke up. "We have observed these changes, Dr. Reyes. What new insight does humanity bring to this crisis?" Z took a deep breath. "We have identified the origin of the virus." The room erupted in a cacophony of translated exclamations and questions. Z waited for the noise to subside before continuing. "The Nexus Strain contains genetic markers from a civilization that predates all of our recorded histories. We found reference to them in ancient Vexery crystalline records, beings called the Architects, who supposedly seeded the early galaxy with life before disappearing millions of years ago. The Vexery delegates' crystalline form vibrated with surprise. Those are creation myths, Dr. Reyes, not scientific evidence. They were myths, Z agreed, until we found this. She adjusted the hologram to display a complex sequence of nucleotides. This is a signature embedded within the virus itself. A message written in the universal language of DNA. What does it say? Asked the Thalasian, her translator struggling to convey the tremor in her native speech. Z met each delegate's gaze before answering. It says, adaptation is survival. Evolution is salvation. Silence gripped the room. There's more, Z continued. We believe the virus wasn't released accidentally. It's been dormant for millennia, triggered by some galactic event, perhaps radiation from supernova or a cosmic alignment that exposed its containment system to specific frequencies. The Kantari medical officer's pupils dilated. You're suggesting this is, what? A deliberate evolutionary intervention by an extinct species? I'm suggesting, Z said carefully, that we are all part of something much larger than a simple pandemic. The virus is changing us, yes, but those changes appear to be preparing us for something. For what? Demanded the Meridian. Z's expression was grim. That's what we need to find out before it's too late. Commander Jackson Hayes stared at his reflection in the mirror of his quarters aboard the military research vessel UES Prometheus. The changes were subtle but unmistakable. His once brown eyes now shimmered with flecks of gold that seemed to catch the light differently. The muscle definition in his arms and chest had altered, becoming more dense, more efficient. And then there were the dreams, vivid visions of star systems he'd never seen, coordinates he somehow knew by heart. The ship's AI chimed softly. Commander, Dr. Z has returned from the council meeting and requests your presence in the laboratory. Hayes pulled his uniform jacket over his shoulders. Tell her I'm on my way. The corridors of the Prometheus were quieter than usual. Half the crew had been reassigned to Earth to help manage the situation there, where 97% of the human population was now infected. The initial panic had given way to a strange, collective focus as the mutations progressed. Crime rates had plummeted. Scientific breakthroughs were being reported across multiple fields. Children born after the infection showed accelerated development and unprecedented cognitive abilities. Whatever the Nexus Strain was doing to humanity, it wasn't debilitating them. Quite the opposite. Z was hunched over a neural interface terminal when Hayes entered the lab. She looked up, and he noticed the golden flecks in her eyes matched his own, a common mutation among infected humans. The council meeting went as expected, she said without preamble. They are scared, confused, and looking for someone to blame. Hayes leaned against a workstation. Did you tell them our theory? I told them we have identified the virus's origin. I didn't share our suspicions about what's coming. She rubbed her temples. Did the deep space telemetry come in? Hayes nodded and transferred the data from his tablet to the main display. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy materialized, with a wave of energy approaching from the galactic rim, a massive front of radiation unlike anything in recorded history. The quantum sensors we deployed last month confirmed it, he said. Whatever this is, it's moving at just under light speed and will reach the first inhabited systems within 2 years. Z studied the projection, and conventional shielding, useless. This radiation would penetrate anything we could build. It would destroy cellular structures, break down DNA. Unless those cellular structures had been modified to withstand it, Z finished. Unless the DNA had been rewritten specifically to survive this event. They shared a look of grim understanding. The virus isn't random, Hayes said. It's preparation. Z nodded. The architects knew this was coming. Maybe they even survived something similar millions of years ago. They created the Nexus Strain as a vaccination. A way to ensure life in the galaxy would continue. The question is, Hayes said, do we tell the council? Most species are still fighting the infections, trying to develop cures. If they succeed, they will doom themselves, Z replied. We need to convince them to stop fighting the virus and start studying what it's trying to turn us into. A proximity alert sounded, and Hayes checked the security feed. A delegation of human officials had docked with the Prometheus, representatives from Earth's unified government. "Looks like we have another audience to convince," he said. "Are you ready for this?" Z's expression hardened with determination. "We don't have a choice. The fate of every sentient species in the galaxy depends on us understanding what's happening before it's too late." Director General Marcus Chun of the United Earth government looked considerably less polished than the last time Z had seen him. The immaculate suits and carefully managed appearance had given way to practical attire and a beard streaked with premature gray. The virus had affected him too. His movements were more precise, his gaze sharper. "Dr. Reyes, Commander Hayes," he greeted them in the Prometheus's conference room. "Your message said this was urgent." "Thank you for coming personally, sir," Hayes replied. "What we are about to share cannot be transmitted, even on secure channels." Z activated the room's information security protocols before speaking. "Director, we have discovered the purpose of the Nexus Strain and why it's affecting humanity differently than other species." Over the next hour, they presented their findings: the approaching radiation front, the protective mutations, the ancient message embedded in a viral code. Chun listened without interruption, his expression growing increasingly troubled. When they finished, he was silent for a long moment. "Let me be clear," he finally said. "You believe an ancient alien species engineered this virus millions of years ago as a way to protect life in the galaxy from a periodic extinction event, an event that's now approaching. And rather than fighting this infection, you suggest we should embrace it. The evidence supports it," Z said. "Every mutation we have documented appears designed to enhance survival, increased radiation resistance, improve cellular repair mechanisms, adaptations that would allow each species to endure conditions that would otherwise be lethal, and the unusual neurological changes." Chun pressed. "The shared dreams people report? The mathematical insights appearing in children who have never studied advanced equations?" Hayes leaned forward. "We think that's preparation too, sir. Not just physical adaptation, but mental, giving us the tools to rebuild after the event passes." Chun stood and paced the length of the conference room. "The other species, how are they responding to the infection?" "With resistance," Z said. "The Vexari are attempting to develop a counteragent. The Meridians have quarantined entire systems. The Thalasians are pursuing aggressive treatment protocols to reverse the mutations, all of which will fail," Hayes added, "and potentially leave them vulnerable when the radiation front arrives." Chun stopped pacing. "You realize what you are asking? You want me to tell humanity to embrace a virus that's rewriting our DNA, to convince the Galactic Council to do the same, based on a theory about an extinction event predicted by a long-dead civilization. We have the telemetry data," Z insisted. "The radiation front is real, and it's coming. Whether you believe the architect created the virus or not, the mutations it's causing appear specifically designed to help us survive what's approaching." The Director General's enhanced eyes studied them carefully. "And what happens after? If we survive this event, what do we become?" It was the question Z had been asking herself for weeks. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I believe we will still be human, just more resilient, more adapted. The virus doesn't seem to be changing who we are fundamentally, just upgrading us. And not just us, but all sentient life." Chun was silent again, weighing the implications. "The Council won't be easily convinced. Most species view the virus as a threat to their identity, their sovereignty. Then we start with humanity," Hayes said firmly. "We show them what we have discovered, demonstrate that the mutations are beneficial. If we can prove our theory with one species, others will follow. And if you are wrong?" Chun asked. Z met his gaze unflinchingly. "Then we have taken an immense gamble with the future of our species. But if we are right and we do nothing, there won't be a future to worry about." 3 weeks later, Z stood in the observation dome of Sentinel-7, watching a fleet of research vessels depart for the edge of the solar system. Each carried specialized equipment designed to study the approaching radiation front, and teams of scientists whose Nexus-enhanced physiology might provide additional insights. The past weeks had been a whirlwind of activity. After intensive review of their evidence, Director Chun had authorized a radical change in humanity's approach to the Nexus Strain. Instead of containment and treatment, Earth's resources have been redirected toward understanding and adaptation. The results have been immediate and striking. As humans stopped fighting the mutations and began studying them instead, new capabilities emerged. Engineers whose neural patterns have been enhanced developed shielding technologies that might mitigate the radiation's worst effects. Physicists with altered perceptual abilities proposed novel energy systems that could maintain civilization through the coming storm. Most importantly, the fear had begun to recede, replaced by a sense of purpose, a collective determination that humanity would not merely survive this challenge but emerge stronger. Impressive sight, Hayes said, joining her at the viewport. 20 ships, 5,000 of our best minds, heading straight toward the greatest threat we have ever faced. Any word from the Council? Z asked. Hayes nodded. The Vexery have stopped their counteragent research. They are reviewing our data instead. 2 of their science vessels are joining our expedition. 1 species down, 6 to go, Z murmured. The Thalasians and Cantari are still resistant, Hayes said. But the Meridians are showing interest. Their physiological changes are among the most dramatic. Some individuals are developing what can only be described as natural bioelectric fields. They are beginning to see the potential benefits. Z turned from the viewport to face him. And the dreams? Any new reports? Increasing frequency across all infected species, Hayes confirmed. And more coherence. People are reporting not just star charts and coordinates now, but technological schematics, mathematical formulas, knowledge we couldn't possibly have invented on our own. The architect's legacy, Z said softly. Not just physical adaptation, but cultural and technological inheritance as well. Hayes's enhanced eyes reflected the starlight. Do you ever wonder if they survived? The architects, if somewhere out there, they evolved into something that could weather this storm without help. Zia considered this many times. I think they tried. Maybe the first generation of the virus was something they used on themselves. But I suspect they realized that biological evolution alone wasn't enough, that true survival required passing on their knowledge as well as their adaptations. A time capsule in our DNA, Hayes mused. Activated just when we'd need it most. ZS tablet chimed with an incoming transmission. The face of a Vexery scientist appeared, one she'd been corresponding with since the council meeting. Dr. Reyes. The crystalline being greeted her, its translator rendering a voice filled with excitement. We have made a discovery you must see immediately. The Vexery transmitted a data package, which Z opened on the dome's main display. It showed a section of viral code they hadn't previously analyzed, a dormant sequence that had only activated in the most recent generation of infections. This pattern, the Vexery explained, it's not just genetic instructions. When mapped to quantum states, it forms a coherent message, more detailed than the one you discovered. ZS' enhanced mind processed the pattern, recognizing its significance immediately. It's a blueprint, she breathed, for some kind of communication device. More than that, the Vexery replied. Our scientists believe it's a quantum entanglement matrix, a way to link individuals across vast distances. If implemented correctly, it could allow instantaneous communication between all infected beings, regardless of physical location. Hayes stepped closer to the display. A communication network integrated into our biology? That's exactly what we would need. Z finished. If civilization as we know it were about to be disrupted by a galaxy-wide catastrophe. A way to maintain unity, to coordinate our response, to share knowledge and resources when conventional communication systems fail. The implications were staggering. The virus wasn't just preparing individual species to survive, it was creating the infrastructure for a galactic community that could endure together. We need to convene an emergency session of the Council, Z decided. This changes everything. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council on Neutral Station Harmony. 9 had never been so crowded. Representatives from all 27 spacefaring civilizations had gathered. Not just diplomatic envoys, but scientists, military leaders, and cultural authorities. All infected by the Nexus Strain, all bearing the distinctive mutations of their species. Z stood at the central podium, acutely aware of the historic weight of the moment. Behind her, a massive holographic display showed the approaching radiation front, now confirmed by multiple independent research missions. Distinguished representatives, she began, 6 months ago, I stood before a smaller version of this gathering and shared humanity's initial findings about the Nexus Strain. Today, thanks to the collaborative efforts of scientists from all our worlds, we present not just a more complete understanding of our situation, but a path forward. She gestured, and the display shifted to show the quantum entanglement matrix discovered by the Vexery. This blueprint, encoded within the virus itself, offers us a way to maintain connection throughout the coming storm. But implementing it will require something unprecedented, a willing biological synchronization across all our species. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The idea was radical, even frightening, creating a biological communication network that would link individuals across species boundaries. I understand your hesitation, Z continued. For millennia, our species have evolved separately, guarding our biological sovereignty. The Nexus strain has already breached those boundaries without our consent. But now we have a choice about what comes next, about how we use these changes to ensure our collective survival. The Cantari High Minister rose from his seat. Dr. Reyes, your evidence regarding the radiation front is compelling. But this proposal goes beyond survival into territory many of us find deeply concerning. You are suggesting we further intermingle our biologies, create connections that cannot be undone. I am suggesting, Z replied firmly, that we embrace the opportunity the architects have given us. They faced this same threat and developed a solution, not just for themselves, but for all life that would evolve after them. They understood something we're only beginning to grasp, that true resilience comes not from isolation, but from connection. The Thalasian elder's feathered crest rippled with emotion. And if this connection compromises our individual identities, our cultural distinctiveness. Commander Hayes stepped forward to stand beside Z. With respect, Elder, the Nexus strain has been studying us as much as we have been studying it. The mutations it triggers are uniquely tailored to each species' biology and psychology. It's not homogenizing us. It's enhancing what makes each of us unique while creating pathways for deeper understanding between us. He activated his personal display, showing brain scans from various species. These neural adaptations aren't random. They are creating translation centers, bridges between fundamentally different types of cognition. The virus isn't erasing our differences, it's helping us transcend them. Director Chun joined them at the podium. Time is short. Our best calculations give us 18 months before the radiation front reaches the outer colonies. Implementing the quantum entanglement matrix will take nearly that long. We must begin now. The chamber erupted in debate, passionate arguments in dozens of languages flowing through translation systems. Z watched as allegiances shifted, as fear gave way to calculation, and calculation to hope. Finally, the Vexery ambassador rose, the crystalline patterns of his infected form pulsing with determination. The Vexery conclave votes to proceed with implementation. One by one, other species followed, the Meridians, the Cantari, the Thalasians. Some remained hesitant, requesting more time for consideration. But as the session concluded, 17 of the 27 species had agreed to begin the process. It's a start, Hayes said as they left the chamber. More than I expected, honestly. Z nodded, a weight lifting from her shoulders. The others will join when they see the first results. The important thing is that we have begun. And now, Chen added, we prepare for what comes after the storm passes, for whatever we are all becoming. Z floated in the observation bubble of Research Outpost Horizon, the farthest human installation from Earth, positioned to be among the first in the galaxy to encounter the approaching radiation front. Around her, a team of specialists from 6 different species worked in harmony, their movements precise, their communication enhanced by the early stages of the quantum entanglement matrix now growing within them all. The mutations had continued to develop. Z's skin now contained specialized cells that darkened in response to radiation, offering natural protection. Her neural pathways had restructured, allowing her to process information at speeds that would have seemed impossible before infection. And the dreams, the inheritance of the architects, had become more vivid, more detailed, guiding the development of technologies specifically designed to weather the coming storm. Dr. Reyes, called Vex Tyrell, the Vexery crystalline physicist who had become one of her closest collaborators. The preliminary wave is approaching. Sensors detect increased particle density at the predicted coordinates. Z moved to the main console, where real-time data streamed in from the sensor array, deployed 50 million kilometers farther out. All personnel to designated positions, she ordered. Activate adaptive shielding. Around the outpost, specially designed shields hummed to life. A hybrid technology incorporating elements from half a dozen species, enhanced by insights from the architect's encoded knowledge. The outpost itself had been reinforced with materials designed to channel and disperse the radiation rather than merely block it. First contact in 3, 2, 1. A wave of energy washed over the outpost, invisible to the naked eye but registering on every instrument. Z felt a tingling sensation as her enhanced cells responded, darkening her skin to an amber hue. Around her, each species reacted differently. The Vexary's crystalline forms absorbing and refracting energies, the Meridians generating protective bioelectric fields, the humans adapting at the cellular level. Status report, she called. Shields holding at 87%, reported a human technician. Biological responses within predicted parameters, added a Cantari medical officer, reviewing biometric data. Quantum entanglement matrix is stabilizing, announced Vex Tyrol with surprise. The radiation appears to be stimulating the neural connections rather than disrupting them. Z felt it. A sudden clarity, a sense of expanded awareness as the matrix activated more fully within her mind. Thoughts not her own brushed against her consciousness. Not invasive, but complementary, adding depth and perspective to her own insights. Fascinating, came the thought voice of Vex Tyrol, no longer requiring translation. The radiation is acting as a catalyst for the final stage of neural integration. The architects designed it this way, Z realized. The matrix was meant to fully activate when the radiation arrived. Around the command center, others were experiencing the same phenomenon. Startled expressions giving way to wonder as they felt the connections forming, strengthening. It's not just communication, thought Mary Loon, the Meridian astrogator. It's perspective. I can see through your understanding. Process through your cognitive frameworks. Z moved to the main viewport, watching as the radiation front illuminated the darkness of space in wavelengths her enhanced vision could now perceive. It was beautiful and terrifying, a cosmic reset button that would have annihilated unprotected life. We need to warn the others, she projected through the nascent network. This is just the leading edge. The main front will be stronger. Already done, came Hayes' response from a research vessel 3 light minutes away, the quantum connection bypassing the limitations of conventional physics. The entanglement is spreading faster than we anticipated. Entire colonies are connecting simultaneously. Through the expanding network, Z sensed the reactions of billions across the galaxy. Fear, wonder, confusion, revelation. Species that had been enemies now shared direct experience, understanding each other in ways diplomacy had never achieved. Cultural barriers that had seemed insurmountable dissolved as perspectives merged and separated. Individual identity maintained but enriched by the collective. This is what they intended, Z whispered aloud, gripping the railing of the viewport. Not just survival, but transcendence. Not just adaptation, but unification. Vex Tyrol's crystalline form resonated with emotion. Your species was right, Z. Fighting the virus would have doomed us all. By embracing it, we have been given a gift beyond calculation. The main console chimed with an alert. The radiation levels were increasing, the leading edge giving way to the main front. Through the quantum network, Z felt a ripple of tension, then determined focus as preparation turned to action across thousands of worlds. This is it, she said. The moment everything changes. The parkland outside the rebuilt Galactic Council headquarters on Earth teemed with activity. Representatives from all 27 spacefaring civilizations moved among the grounds, their diverse forms catching the sunlight. Children from half a dozen species played together in a meadow, their laughter and telepathic exchanges creating a symphony of joy. Z walked beside Commander Hayes, now Admiral Hayes of the United Galactic Fleet, along a path lined with memorial stones for those who hadn't survived the radiation front. Despite their preparations, the event had claimed lives, particularly among those who had resisted the Nexus adaptations until it was too late. The Cantari colony on Proxima 4 has fully relocated, Hayes reported. Their world was too damaged to support life, but the Thalasians offered them a continent on the Lost Prime. Two species sharing a homeworld. That would have been unthinkable before the Nexus. Z nodded, observing a group of scientists, Human, Vexery, and Meridian, collaborating on a three-dimensional model hovering above a workstation. The entanglement has changed everything. Not just how we communicate, but how we relate, how we see ourselves and each other, and how we see our future, Hayes added. The architect's knowledge is still unfolding within the collective consciousness. Some of the technological concepts being developed now are centuries beyond what any of our civilizations had achieved independently. They reached a hillside overlooking the council complex. In the distance, the skyline of New Geneva gleamed, a city rebuilt with elements of architecture from a dozen worlds, designed to accommodate all forms of sentient life comfortably. Do you ever wonder if we are becoming them? Z asked quietly. The architects, I mean, if this was their plan all along, not just to help us survive, but to pass the torch to a new generation of guardians. Hayes considered this. Through their entanglement, she could sense his thoughts mixing with her own, not intrusively, but intimately, a sharing that had become as natural as breathing. I think they gave us a foundation, he finally said. But what we are building on it is uniquely our own. The combination of all our species' perspectives and abilities is creating something they couldn't have predicted. A child ran past them, a human girl with the golden-flecked eyes of the Nexus adaptation. In her wake followed a young Vexery, its crystalline form still not fully developed, pulsing with the excitement of play. Through the entanglement, their simple joy radiated like sunshine. They're the first generation, Z said, watching them. Born into this connected world, never knowing the isolation we once took for granted. And they will face challenges we can't imagine, Hayes replied. The galaxy is vast, and we have only begun to explore it. There may be other threats out there, other tests of our adaptation and unity. Z smiled, feeling the collective determination of billions flowing through the quantum network that now linked them all. Not erasing individuality, but enhancing it, creating a tapestry of consciousness that spanned the stars. Whatever comes, she said, we will face it together. Humanity and all our new kin. Humanity, fuck yeah, Hayes murmured with a grin. Z laughed. All of us, she corrected. Life, fuck yeah. Around them, quantum network pulsed with agreement. Billions of minds, thousands of worlds, dozens of species, united in purpose and possibility. The virus that had once seemed a curse had transformed them all, not into something alien, but into something more profoundly themselves than they had ever been before. And somewhere, perhaps, the architects were watching, their legacy not just surviving, but thriving, evolving toward horizons even they had never dreamed possible.